What is up, guys? Randomonium here. I wanted to do a relatively quick video on the matchups for week one. I had a few people ask me about it, and I figured I'd just do something really fast because the truth of the matter is that week one is definitely kind of the week where nobody really knows what's going to happen. And I'm definitely not going to lie to you guys and say, oh yeah, I've got it all figured out. Like, I really don't know what's going to happen with week one. I mean, I have some suspicions and I have some theories, but I definitely don't know which teams are going to show up week one. So I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'll explain that a lot of my picks this week aren't extremely confident. I think after the first week or two, we'll get a better gauge for how the season's going to go. So don't go betting your life savings on this week or anything like that. That's definitely not something you want to do. So this is going to be really quick and dirty. You can see I just used an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to try and reduce the amount of time it takes me to make these videos so that I can kind of get them out faster and I can make more videos and things like that. But I'm definitely open to suggestions you guys have. If there are ways that you want me to improve these videos, I will. For example, this week, week one, I'm not going to have anything that's like player specific because we really have no idea which players are going to show up this split. So it's all going to be team specific. And then once I get a better idea of who are like the standout players on specific teams, then I'll start doing some more player specific stuff. But without further ado, let's get into it. So on the left, I'm going to have all the matchups for week one. So the teams, team 1, team 2, I believe this is blue side, red side, who I think the favorite is, who the majority of people would pick to win that matchup, and then who I think is going to win. And then this competitiveness is how close I think the matchup is going to be. Or another way of thinking about it is how confident am I in my decision. So one is I think it's going to be a really close match where I'm not terribly confident with it. And the highest rating is a 5, and that'll be that I'm super confident that it's going to go the way that I think it's going to go. So that's how we're going to basically gauge this. And then on the right side, I organized it by teams, and I basically took these point values. And if I think they're going to lose, it's a negative number, and if I think they're going to win, it's a positive number. And I totaled it up, and this is how you can tell which teams you kind of want to focus on this week. Like I said, I'm not going to be focusing on player specific, but this will at least give you an idea of what teams have easier weeks as opposed to harder weeks. Yeah, so hopefully you guys like this. If you don't, I'm always open to new suggestions, and if nothing makes sense, just let me know. So anyway, first matchup, Team Liquid versus TSM. I definitely think that TSM is the favorite. Most people will say that TSM is going to win this matchup. TSM is the better team, but TSM also historically has basically flops on week one. They are notoriously slow out of the gate, and Team Liquid on paper is the number 2 team. I don't think that they're going to finish number 2, but on paper, I think they have the second strongest team in the league. And I think the Team Liquid is going to get a faster start than TSM, and that they're actually going to upset TSM in the first game. So that's one of my upsets that I think is going to happen this week, is that Team Liquid will upset TSM. But you can see that my confidence is not very high on that one. I definitely think it's going to be a very close match. My guess is probably that TSM is going to get an early lead, Team Liquid's going to get an early lead. TSM is going to battle back in the mid game, and it's probably going to come down to a single team fight in kind of the late game. 100 Thieves versus Optic. I think 100 Thieves is probably the favorite, and I agree with them. I do think 100 Thieves will win, and I put a competitiveness of 2, so it'll be relatively close. Clutch versus Guardians. I think that Clutch is probably everybody's favorite. I do agree with them. I know that some people think that I kind of badmouth Clutch in my first matchup. And I don't think the Clutch is going to do terribly well. They have the potential to potentially make playoffs. But I think that they're going to come out week one very strong because they have a lot of synergy with their 3 people from Envy that are coming over. I think that Guardians is going to take a little bit longer to get rolling. But I think their shot calling is going to really help them out. So Echo Fox versus FlyQuest. I think Echo Fox is the favorite, and I do think Echo Fox is going to win. CLG versus Cloud9. I think Cloud9 is the favorite, and I think most people would expect Cloud9 to win. I think CLG is going to win, just based off of the people that are returning for CLG. I think CLG definitely has the advantage, especially in top lane with Darshan. I think that's where they're going to probably play around, is they're going to play around Darshan to try and get him ahead. And if they can, if they're successful, then they're going to execute their 4-1 split push, which is something that they're legendary for. Optic versus Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid is the favorite, and they will win. I'm pretty confident on that one, a 3 out of 5. FlyQuest versus TSM. I'm confident that TSM will win, 4 out of 5. That's actually my most confident matchup this week. CLG versus 100 Thieves. I think CLG is the favorite, and I do think that CLG will win. Guardians versus Cloud9. I think Cloud9 is the favorite, and I think Cloud9 will win. And then EchoFox versus Clutch. I think that people are kind of sleeping on EchoFox, and I think that people are hyping up Clutch a little bit. I think that EchoFox will upset them. So the biggest issue that I have with EchoFox is I think that they're going to be a very emotional team, and they're going to be a very inconsistent team. But I think the fact that if EchoFox wins against FlyQuest on day 1, I think they're going to carry that momentum and that confidence into day 2. And I think that Huni and Dardoch are going to be able to be like an absolute monstrous combo in that matchup. And I think that's going to really be kind of their key to victory, is getting Huni ahead. So we'll see what happens, but that is my third upset that I'm predicting for this week. On the EU side, G2 versus Misfits. I think G2 is the favorite, and I think G2 is going to win, which definitely saddens me, because I think there's a couple of my fantasy leagues where I have a lot of Misfits players, and I'm going up against a lot of G2 players, so I'll probably lose this week in those leagues. But I do think it's going to be very close. I think the G2 Misfits matchup is going to be very close, and I'll be probably rooting for Misfits just because I want to win my fantasy leagues. Vitality versus H2K. I think H2K is the slight favorite. H2K is definitely in a rebuilding year, and I do think that they're going to win, but I don't think it's going to be like a stomp like it was last season. It's going to be a really close matchup. Unicorns of Love versus Giants. I think Unicorns of Love is the favorite, and I do think the Unicorns of Love will win. Rocket versus Schalke. I think that Schalke is the favorite, and they will be able to win that one as well. Fnatic versus Splice. I think Fnatic is definitely the favorite. Even though Splice is a good team, I think Fnatic looks kind of unstoppable right now. So yeah, I think that, it might be a close matchup, but I do think Fnatic's definitely going to win that one. Giants versus Vitality. I think Vitality is slightly favored, and I do think that they will win, but I think it'll be a close match. H2K versus Fnatic. I'm picking Fnatic all the way on that one. G2 versus Rocket. I'm picking G2 definitely. And then Misfits versus Schalke, I'm picking Misfits. But I do think that will be relatively close. But I do think that Misfits will be able to win that one. So going over to the right side, your best starters this week are Fnatic, hands down. If you have Fnatic people, you want to play Fnatic. They've got a relatively good week. Splice could give them a little bit of trouble, but I think that they'll be able to come in, and I think that the Fnatic will most likely be the points leaders coming out of week 1. Other good teams to start this week would be G2, because I do think they're going to be able to upset they're going to be able to beat Misfits, and then Team Liquid, who I think is going to upset TSM. So those are the other teams that I definitely think that you would want to try and start if you have them available to you. For the teams that are kind of, not maybe S tier, but not bad, we're looking at TSM, CLG, EchoFox. This is all, of course, assuming that EchoFox is able to upset Clutch. If they're not able to upset Clutch, then they're still okay this week, but they're not great. Potentially, if Clutch wins, then Clutch is the better pickup this week. So if you think that Clutch is going to beat EchoFox, you should start Clutch. And if you think EchoFox is going to beat Clutch, then start EchoFox. But yeah, so that's maybe a little bit higher risk with EchoFox and Clutch. But I think that TSM and CLG are definitely good starters. After them, it's probably Unicorns of Love. I think they were going to lose the Splice match, but I think they're going to win their first match against Giants. So they'll be a decent pickup. They're not going to be like great, but they're maybe kind of like B tier. And then kind of the people that are okay, like maybe C tier, would be like Cloud9, 100 Thieves, Clutch, and Schalke, and maybe a little bit of Misfits and a little bit of Vitality. Those are kind of the teams where, like, if you don't have anyone better, those are the teams you kind of start. I still think that Cloud9 has the potential to go big, but they have to upset CLG in order to do that. They don't really have a great week this week, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's kind of where Cloud9 is at. Even though they're a good team, I don't think they have a very good week this week. And then the teams that I would probably try to avoid this week would be Optic, Guardians, FlyQuest, H2K, Giants, and Roccat. Those are kind of the teams that I would shy away from. Those are the teams I would definitely not start this week. But everyone else, just try and prioritize the teams that are going to go 2-0 this week. So the Fanatics, the G2s, the Team Liquids, things like that. So I hope you guys will like that. I know it's short. I know it's kind of quick and dirty, and I didn't go into a huge amount of detail. I will be adding more detail to season progresses, but I'm just trying to get these videos out fast and trying to, just get out content on a regular basis. And the easiest way for me to do that is to maybe cut like a little bit of like the fancy stuff, like the quality, and just kind of focus on like the actual details that matter rather than focusing on the presentation. So I'm definitely interested in your guys' feedback. Let me know what you guys like or dislike about this format. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. I hope you guys have a successful week 1. This is Randomonium signing off.